Hey everybody, my name is Deja and welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a 24-hour readathon vlog. I'm so excited to be starting this weekend because it is now spooky season. I have not done a 24-hour readathon vlog since March of this year when I was on spring break, my last spring break. I did one, but I'm so excited because it is now spooky season, so I get to do this with all spooky books. For this version of my 24-hour readathon, I'm going to be doing like the timer 12-12 method, where you do the timer so you start and stop, you give yourself breaks, but I'm going to try and do 12 hours over the course of 2 days. So I will have some buffer time to like eat and do other stuff, but for the most part I will be reading for the next 2 days. Even reading 12 hours a day sounds unrealistic for me right now because I've been so slumpy, but I really want to do this because I want to be reading. I just haven't been reading because I think honestly my mental health has been really bad and I've been very anxious a lot. So I think a lot of that has made it hard for me to be able to focus on reading and actually read. So I'm going to try to do my best for this readathon and read as much as I can, and hopefully I will be able to complete the full 24 hours. That's my goal, is to actually do 24 hours over the next 2 days. I do have a game plan going into this readathon. So I actually was going to do another reading vlog this month where I was going to read anticipated horror releases that have come out so far this year and just kind of read them for a vlog, and I was supposed to film that this week, but honestly I've been so busy this week with work and YouTube and school that I just haven't really had much time to read, so I didn't start up the vlog. And so I was like, dang, I don't know when I'm going to be able to film that because I don't know how much time I'm going to have left to be able to do that with the other things I want to film this month too. But I was like, wait, maybe I could combine it with the 24-hour readathon. The only thing is that I know for 24-hour readathons I kind of need to mood read. That's why I normally don't do some type of like strict TBR or like a theme to my 24-hour readathons, because mood reading really will help me get through reading the books and actually focusing for that long. So I'm still going to be doing like mostly reading these anticipated horror releases is my plan, but then maybe sprinkle in a couple books that are romance or fantasy or something just to break up all of that horror. So here are the books that I pulled for my physical TBR. There are 2025 releases that I want to read for this readathon potentially. I'm not going to get through all of these, but these are like potentials that I will pull from. I have some other ones, but I'm putting them off for other reasons. Like Buffalo Hunter I know is long and slow, so it's not going to be good for this. And also like Hungerstone, I want to read Carmilla first because it's based off that book. So I have these ones, and I know for sure I'm going to be reading Play Nice. Like honestly, I would start this immediately. I've been thinking about reading this all week. That's why I was like, I really want to do the 24-hour readathon, but I want to read Play Nice. So that's why I was like, I'm gonna combine them. So the rest of these that I have Something in the Walls by Daisy Pierce, which came out earlier this year, and I was anticipating it, but I feel like it's going to be more paranormal than I like. So I don't know. I had hope for it, but at this point I'm like looking at it, I'm like, it's giving 3 stars. Then there is the Autumn Springs Retirement Home Massacre. This is like a slasher, so it might be good to kind of break things up too. And I just know this is about a massacre at a retirement home. Then I had The Possession of Alba Diaz by Isabel Cañas. I may not read this one because I also had The Vampires of El Norte, and I honestly want to read that one first before this one, or even The Hacienda, but I don't own that one. I don't know, I just feel like I want to read those before I read this one, but I still put it on here because I might read it. And then I also have What Hunger by Catherine Dang. This is one that seemed really interesting to me. It seems like it's going to have a lot to do with like female rage and like generational trauma and mother-daughter bonding. It says very emotional, and I don't know if it's going to be too slow because it seems like character driven, but it is kind of short, so that is also potential. There's a couple that I don't own. I actually went to Barnes & Noble to look for them, and I'll show you guys what I got at Barnes, but some of the ones that I did not find at Barnes that I really want to read is Spread Me by Sarah Gailey. I really love the echo by this author. Even Just Like Home, which is a haunted house story, which you guys know I don't traditionally love, which is my favorite haunted house story, and she wrote it, so I really want to read this one. I heard it's like erotic horror though. It's only like 4 hours on audio though, so it'll be really short. Then there's just 2 books by the same author, so I probably won't read both, but I have House of Idol and Ride or Die, both by Delilah S. Dawson. Completely different vibes. I think House of Idol is like a cult book, and Ride or Die is a middle grade book that takes place at an amusement park. And so I think I'm actually going to read Ride or Die because I think having a middle grade will probably break it up nicely. And the amusement park vibes I love. That's most of the anticipated horror that I plan on reading, except there were a couple other ones that I found at Barnes. So this is what I got at Barnes. Oh, I filmed me going to Barnes for my TikTok because I recently started making some short form content, which I've been posting here and TikTok and Instagram, but TikTok will get the most short form content because YouTube doesn't allow you to have as long of videos. And Instagram, I feel like I wouldn't post all the TikToks that I make on Instagram. So if you want short form content for me, definitely follow my book talk. But I feel like these two books could potentially work. So I have Crafting for Sinners, which came out this year, and it is about a woman who works at a craft store, but it's like really, really religious. Her boss finds out that she lives with her girlfriend, and so she gets fired. And so to take vengeance and kind of get her lick back, she decides she's going to shoplift. But then all of the employees basically come together and lock her in the craft store and try to attack her. And so she's trying to survive. So it also seems maybe not slashery, but kind of in that vein. And then this one technically did not come out in 2025. It came out last year, but the paperback version came out this year, and that is How to Survive Camping. And this one I heard is a cozy horror book, and I just loved how small it was, and I liked the cover. I just feel like this was a very interesting looking book, so I also picked that up. And then some of these I think could be potentials to break up the horror. If It Makes You Happy, I've already read, so I just wanted to get a physical copy. Calabasas, I definitely would not be reading for this 24-hour readathon. But these four, I feel like potentially these four could. So I have 3 romances and then a cozy mystery, which I feel like both of those genres are good to break things up. So this is a paranormal romance. It's the second in a series, and I really like the first book. This is also the second in a series, and I really like the first book in this one too. And then both these romances are like fall romances. I've seen this book around for so long, and I was interested in it at one point, and then I kind of forgot what it was about, and then everybody was talking about it. I was like, I don't know if I'll be interested, but the synopsis sounds really good, so I kind of really want to pick this one up. And then this one I had my eye on. It's like obviously a fall romance, but it's by a Black author, and the main character, her name is Deja, like me. Now, honestly, I might read anything for this readathon. Just because I'm saying it in the beginning doesn't mean I'm gonna read it, and also just because I don't say it doesn't mean I'm not going to read it. So that's kind of like what I'm thinking. Obviously, I'm not going to get to all of these books because that would be crazy if I somehow managed to read one. So that's kind of what I'm thinking generally. I obviously will not get to all of these. I'm hoping to get through as many of these as possible. So we're going to start bright and early tomorrow morning. And of course, I'm going to start with Play Nice because this one I am dying to read. I want to read it so bad. So this is the one that we're going to pick up first. I'm really, really excited. My boyfriend, he's going to be gone during the day over Saturday and Sunday, both days for like 12 plus hours. He's going to be gone because of work. So I was like, I just need something to do to keep me busy, to try to like reduce my anxiety. And I think having this as like a vlog, like a challenge that I'm trying to do, not just me being like, hey, I'm going to try to read this weekend. Hopefully it'll keep me occupied. I also plan to do some hobby/crafts. Diamond painting, I have a fall one, and I feel like diamond painting is the best for audiobooks. I can zone out so easily. I also might go for like a walk or something to keep me occupied because I feel like me trying to read for this long physically is going to be hard. So I definitely need to break it up with audiobooks and doing some physical tasks with my hands, not just reading. But I'm so excited for tomorrow. I'll see y'all in the morning. Good morning, everybody. I'm so excited to start the 24-hour readathon this morning. I honestly could not sleep last night. I didn't go to sleep till after 4 a.m. because I was just so up. Like, I just could not fall asleep. And because of that, I tried to get up early this morning around like 7, 8 a.m., but I just couldn't. I'm someone who really needs at least like 6 hours of sleep to function. So I woke up a little bit later around 9:30, and I like had to take care of my dog and get ready for the day, of course. It's almost 10:30 now. I don't know if y'all can see the time. It's 10:26. So I think that we should just start the readathon and not delay any longer, because the longer that we delay, the less time we have to read today. And we only have about an hour and a half of buffer room now, which I wanted way more time than that, like at least like 2-3 hours, because I have some plans later today that might kind of reduce our time a little bit, but we'll talk about that later. Of course, I'm going to start with Play Nice by Rachel Harrison, because as I said, I know for sure this is one that I want to read. It's one of my most anticipated releases of the year. I'm so excited to get into it. So let's just start the timer. I'm going to be having it on my iPad so we can see it throughout the time. And as I said, I'm going to be stopping it, but only for like big things that I know like I'm taking. Like if I run to the bathroom for 5 minutes, I'm not going to stop it. I'm probably only going to stop it if I know that I'm going to not be reading for more than like 15 minutes, including listening to audiobooks. So let's just start the timer. I switched from the stopwatch to the timer because I like seeing the progress like this. I don't know why I did it stopwatch originally, but we have a timer. I have surpassed the first 2 hours of the readathon, and I've been sitting here reading Play Nice, and I'm now on page 142, the beginning of chapter 18, and I'm really, really liking this book so far. I love Rachel Harrison so much. I think it was last year where I went through and I read all of her work, but all of the books by her I've enjoyed. I think my least favorite is she has a short story collection called Bad Dolls. That was my least favorite, but all of her actual books are like 3.5, 4, 4.5, or 5 stars for me. I would say Black Sheep and Such Sharp Teeth are my favorite books from her so far, if you were curious. And this one I was interested and nervous to see. So a lot of her books tend to have some paranormal or supernatural element in it, like werewolves, vampires, things like that. Black Sheep is more demonic, I would say, but most of the time you guys know that like haunted house stories or paranormal as in related to ghosts, specifically, that normally doesn't work for me, like ghost spirits, all that stuff. I don't know, like it's just not my favorite type of horror. I think the highest rating I've ever given like a haunted house, ghosty type book is 4 stars. Maybe if you count the reformatory, 4.5 stars, but the horror in the reformatory is not ghosts. It has ghosts in it, but that's not the horror of the story, which is usually where it kind of draws back for me, just because I don't really get scared by paranormal things. Like even paranormal movies I don't love. I can appreciate them, but I don't love them. But this one I'm really, really liking, which I figured I would, because I really love Rachel Harrison's writing. And the setup of this also reminded me of Home Before Dark by Riley Sager, which I do love, but that one's a thriller. So the way that they're similar is that we're following characters who both inherit a house after the passing of one of their parents, and this house was supposedly haunted, or in this case, in this book specifically, they're saying it's possessed by a demon, and the parent also wrote a book about their experience. So that's what's happening in this book too. So we're following Cleo, who is like a 20-something-year-old woman. She is an influencer, and she's also like a stylist, I believe. She has 2 sisters, and when they were younger, her parents got divorced, so her mom got a house which is supposedly possessed by demons, and all 3 of them lived there together, and then some stuff went down and that made the mom want to leave the house. And so the 3 daughters went to live with their father, and their mom kind of just went off, and she wrote this book about her experiences in the house, thinking that it's possessed. Now the 3 daughters don't believe that it's actually possessed, and that their mom is just like sick and mentally ill and just has some issues. And so she kind of uses the demonic presence of the house house to basically cover up and use it as an excuse. So these three daughters have been estranged from their mother for years, but their mother actually has passed away. And they thought this whole time, or at least our main character thought, Cleo, her sisters may have known and hid it from her. She doesn't know. But Cleo believed that their mom sold the house, but she actually didn't. So the three daughters end up inheriting the house, and the other two want nothing to do with it. But Cleo actually sees this as an opportunity to basically go into the house and renovate it so that she can make some content on it, and then they can sell it and get the money. The other two sisters just want to sell it immediately, but Cleo really wants to renovate it and be able to make content off of that. So Cleo starts going to the house every so often to like look at it and, you know, start renovating it and stuff. And when she's there, she finds actually a copy of her mom's book in her bedroom that's annotated. And these three sisters promised their dad that they would never read this book. They assumed it was kind of because their mom probably didn't talk the highest of him, but they all agreed, and Cleo has stuck to that promise where she never read the book. But now that she found this annotated copy that her mom left her, she decides that she's going to read it. So we do get mixed media elements in here where we are having inserts of the book that her mom wrote and also the annotations. I like how it was done. Let me see if I can find it. So yeah, you can see, I can tell that this is the book because of this division. And then you can see over here, it'll literally like have her annotations written in like that. And I really like that mixed media element. Again, it's reminding me a lot of the setup of Home Before Dark. And I just really love Rachel Harrison's writing. It's something about the way that she writes. I feel like she writes so good for Gen Z. I don't know how old Rachel Harrison is, but she feels like she's around my age. Like she feels like she's writing characters that are actually 20 something in 2025. And the impressive thing is that she manages not to date herself too much. She doesn't use too much slang. She doesn't bring up too much like pop culture that would date the book too much. She literally just writes authentic characters that seem like real 20-something-year-olds in this day and age, but doesn't manage to date the book or make it cringe. And her writing is also very, very humorous, which I like. It lightens the mood a lot. And there's also a lot of like sharp dialogue that I really enjoy. But there was a line in here that was really funny. And I feel like it would kind of show you a little bit about how Rachel Harrison writes with her kind of humor. So our main character is talking about this man that she met, and she said, also promising, his sweatpants look like they could be from Costco. They're not designer sweatpants. There's a direct correlation between men who wear designer sweatpants and men who can't make me come. I've done the unfortunate research. And you see, that was just like an insert of her describing this man, her saying that, and then going back to describing it. It's just like little things that the characters think or say that make them come to life and feel so realistic. And this one obviously has a lot to do with very intense family dynamics. And I think most of her books have something to do with that or some sort of relations. I would say Such Sharp Teeth has a lot to do with sisters. So Thirsty has a lot to do with like friends, actually. Black Sheep is specifically mother-daughter, but just kind of like family in general, but especially mother-daughter. So this book has a lot to do with family dynamics in general of like sisters, and then not just like one sister, but having a group of sisters, and then a dad and having a girl dad. My dad has me and my sisters, so I kind of know having the daughter dynamic and then being really close to your dad because my sister's my half sister. So my mom and my sister are really close. My mom has been in my sister's life for so long, but obviously her dad is like her dad. And so I feel like we have this interesting dynamic that's kind of similar to the sisters in here and their relationship with their dad. And then also, of course, the sisters all having this estranged relationship with their mom, and even seeing the dad and how he kind of talks a little bit about the mom, and just having these dynamics I find so interesting to explore. There's also been like a romantic element kind of woven into the book just a little bit. I don't know how much of it's actually going to be in the story, but normally she does kind of have like romances or things in there. Like her books are very slice of life, so they show what someone's life looks like during this point, and so that's what is showing in this book. So there is kind of like more of like a one night stand hookup, friends with benefits type situation that has been introduced into the story too. Now our main character has actually started to experience some things while she's been in the house that may be having her question if her mom did actually experience some of these things and wasn't completely making it up or delusional. And so we're just starting to get the inklings of like the actual like paranormal horror elements in the story. So I'm interested to see how it's going to expand and how the horror is going to develop throughout the course of the rest of the book. So I'm going to get back to reading this. I might stop to eat for a little bit because I'm getting a little bit hungry. It's around 1 o'clock now. So I'm probably going to read a little bit more and then go eat, but I'm really excited to continue this book because I'm absolutely loving it. We are about 4.5 hours in now, and I finished Play Nice by Rachel Harrison. This one's going to be a 4-star. I think the second half of this I definitely didn't like as much as the first half, but I still enjoyed it. The horror wasn't my favorite. I wish we got a little bit more, but I liked what we did get, and I kind of liked the direction that it went in at the end with the commentary that it had on the family dynamics. Everything that I said about this book stands. I think that Rachel Harrison is so funny. I really like her characters. I get attached to them, and I like kind of just these slice of life kind of character explorations, relationship dynamic, horror explanation. And normally the horror in her story is a metaphor for the dynamic. Definitely the horror in this one was metaphorical in relation to the relationship dynamics, which I really enjoyed. I decided that I was going to start an audiobook next after this, and I think I'm going to do Spread Me by Sarah Gailey. I read The Echo Wife by this author, which I loved. I love that horror book. It's so underrated. And I also read Just Like Home, which I liked. It is like a haunted house story, but it is one of my favorite haunted house stories, if not my favorite. So I really do like her work. And this one is really short. It's only like 5 hours on audio. And I just know that this one I think has to do with like science. The Echo Wife also has to do with science, but I think it's like science-y experiments, maybe aliens, I don't know. But I know it's also erotic apparently, which I don't know how I feel about. I have read one horror book that was like an erotic horror book and I hated it. And I love another book from that author. It's Immortal Pleasures by B. Castro. So we'll see how I like it in this book. I'm interested, but I have a lot of issues with that book outside of that. It wasn't because of that I disliked it. Well, I think it was very gross how things were described. Of course, it's kind of meant to be because it's horror, but we'll see how I feel about this one. I started the audiobook actually a little bit because the reason I wanted to switch to audio is I had a bunch of my like sweaters and stuff like that in storage, and then I had a whole bunch of clothes at my parents' house. So I'm trying to go through my current closet and take stuff out that I want to put in storage or get rid of so I can put in the clothes that are more seasonal, because the closet in my apartment is not that big. I think if I lived by myself I'd be fine, but obviously my boyfriend has clothes too, so I can't fit all my clothes in the closet at once. So I'm trying to go through and like swap things out, get rid of things I don't need, and I've been meaning to do that for weeks, and finally it's like to a point where I'm like, I don't think we're gonna have another 80-degree day this year, and even if we do, of course I keep like t-shirts and stuff still, so it'll be fine. I'm just like switching some things out. And so I wanted to listen to the audiobook while I did that. So I went to the storage that we have here and to my car to get the clothes. And while I did that, my dog got anxious and he peed 2 different areas in my apartment. So I had to clean that up. So while I was doing that, I put on the Spread Me audiobook, which is on Everand. So it says it's only going to take me about an hour and 38 minutes to finish. So I actually have an idea of something that we can do that I think will be fun while still keeping with the reading. I found out about this bookstore near me, and I want to go to it because I found out that tonight they have a silent book club, which is basically like a reading sprint in person. So you chat for a little bit while you get settled for like half an hour, you read for an hour, and then there's a half an hour optional discussion after that. So I was thinking about going to that because it's still reading, and I think I would probably stay for the optional part afterwards. So there's like probably like 30 minutes to an hour that I wouldn't be reading because obviously I'd be engaging in conversation with the other people that were there, but I would still be reading, and while I'm driving I can listen to an audiobook. For that I probably have to leave around 4:30ish, which is in about an hour and 20 minutes. So I'm gonna make it as much of the way through this audiobook as possible before I leave, and then I'm going to continue it on the way there. And then I need to pick a physical book to read while I'm there, and then also another audiobook for probably the drive back, or if I just need another one. So I don't think I'm going to be burnt out on horror yet because Spread Me is so short. So I think I can pick another horror book. So these are the 2 books that I'm debating picking up for my next physical read and to read at the silent book club. So I might just bring both and see which one I want to read. I just got back from my silent book club and it was really nice. I don't think I really filmed that much because I was running a little bit late. I mean, the first 30 minutes is just chatting, but since I'd never been before, I wanted to get there early, and I ended up getting there a little bit after 5, and I'd never been there before, and it's downtown, so I had to deal with traffic and parking because I can't really parallel park, and it was a little bit messy, but once I got there it was great. And before I left and on the way there, I was listening to Spread Me by Sarah Gailey, and this is a weird one. I don't really know what to rate it. I did finish it actually on the drive home. I didn't finish it on the drive there, but this is a weird book. Okay, I am giving like 2.5, maybe 3 stars. I just don't really feel much towards it. Like, I'm not disgusted, I'm not down with it. I just feel like I read something and it was kind of weird. It's honestly kind of reminiscent in 2020. If you were around on BookTube, especially during reading sprints, there was a novella going around that was kissing the coronavirus. And it's super short. It's like 20 pages or something like that. But it is about someone who's in love with the coronavirus. And it's like a smutty novella. And this was honestly like that. But if it was a horror sci-fi and longer, because this is a horror erotic novella. So it does have that element in it. In this one, we're basically just following a research team that is out in the middle of the desert in like a near dystopian future. And our main character finds a weird specimen deep in the sand and brings it into their facility. And then some of them start to change and adapt and become different. Our main character, she's mostly asexual. A lot of people on this team sleep around with each other, which is kind of inevitable, but she's mostly asexual, doesn't really do anything with the other people. But she actually finds out that she's sexually attracted to a virus or viruses, and that's basically what this follows, is her being sexually attracted to this virus and kind of an overtaking of this research facility. It was a book that I read, as I said, 2.5, 3 stars. I don't really know what to rate it. Like, I don't feel like it really had a lot of commentary. I don't think it said anything really different. I don't think it was even that disgusting. It was just kind of weird, and I honestly don't have much to say about it because it was so short and it just didn't really pack a punch, but it also really wasn't like bad either. Like, I thought this one could either be one that I really love or I really hate, but I ended up kind of just in the middle. At the Silent Book Club, I told y'all I brought these 2 books, and my dog is here. I ended up going with Crafting for Sinners, and in that hour sprint that we did, I read 96 pages, so I read a decent bit, and this one is interesting so far. In this one, we are following a woman named Ruth, and she lives in this small, very religious town in the middle of Kentucky, I believe it is, and it's like very religious to the point that it's basically a cult. We find out at the beginning of this book that her and her partner live together, and they basically are really struggling to get by. They're trying to save, and they're actually saving to move out of this small town because they are a queer couple. She's bisexual, and her partner, I don't know what they identify as, but obviously they're in a homosexual relationship, and this is a very religious town, so they're saving to try and get out. And our main character in the past actually had a job at this craft store, and she's rarely into crafts, especially knitting is what we know her to do. But a couple years prior to this book starting, she actually was fired from her job because her manager found out that she was living with a woman, obviously not just as a roommate, in a romantic sexual way. So they end up firing her because, as I said, they're very Christian, and even this craft store is Christian. It's giving like Hobby Lobby, but instead of making it a franchise, it's just a standalone store. Ever since she got fired, she's actually been going there to steal things, primarily yarn, but honestly everything, but she's working on like commissions and stuff like that, so she'll steal yarn, and she knows that they don't really like catalog inventory or anything, so she can kind of get away with it. But then one day she goes there to get some yarn for a commission, and the other employees at the store end up trapping her in the store, and we don't really know why, but they're basically hunting her. We don't know if they want to kill her, what they want to do with her, or what's up, but it's interesting so far. It was very fast to read, as y'all can see, because I read basically 100 pages in an hour. It's very fast to read. I like the craft store element because it's reminding me, I know it's more reminiscent of Hobby Lobby, but I love being in a craft store and I miss Joanne so much, so I kind of like thinking about being in a craft store, because of course we still have Michael's and I guess Hobby Lobby if you want to go there, but besides that we don't really have much. So I just like kind of being in this craft store environment. It's really interesting and fun, so I'm excited to figure out what's going on and like why they want to kidnap her or whatever. Like, what is their end goal? That's what I want to know, and so I'm excited to figure that out. Since I finished Spread Me on the way back, I had time to listen to another audiobook because it was only like a third of the way into my drive when it ended, and I was gonna pick up Ride or Die by Delilah S. Dawson, but I forgot that last night I was actually trying to finish a book before this readathon, and I fell asleep reading it, and I literally forgot that throughout the entire day. But I was 87% of the way through A Dark and Secret Magic, which is an autumnal witchy book, and so I started listening to that on the way back since I only had 13% of the way left, so I can finish it off, and I have like 5% of the way in. I think this one's going to be like a 3.5 for me. I like it, but it went into a different direction than I anticipated, and I thought it was going to be a little bit more autumnal in the descriptions than it actually is, because it is in a sense, like it definitely takes place during autumn, it takes place around Halloween, but I wanted the descriptions to be like drenched in autumn, because in the beginning of this book there's an author's note that literally says like this is for the autumn lovers, basically, like this is an autumnal book. And I feel like for it advertising itself that way and for there literally being an author's note about it, I want a little bit more, but it's still an interesting story and I'm liking it so far. So I literally only have 5% left of that. So once I finish that, I am going to start up Ride or Die. I think I kind of want to continue with the audiobook train a little bit and do a little diamond painting, and then later tonight I can get in bed and continue reading Crafting for Sinners. I forgot to say I also moved the timer to my phone so I could stop it and start it during the silent book club. But I currently have 15 hours and 47 minutes left. So I think that means I've read for 8 hours and 13 minutes. I'm going to go change now because I'm wearing jeans and I don't want to be wearing jeans anymore. So I'm going to go change and start some diamond painting. My boyfriend is asleep back there, so if I'm talking kind of low, that's why. But it is 10:43 now, so I'm not going to hit the 12 hours before like the day is officially over, but I'll definitely go till at least 12 hours tonight. Y'all can see that we're about at 14 hours, so I'm definitely gonna go, as I said, till 12 hours. The diamond painting that I'm doing is huge, but I finished one section, literally the first section. I don't know how long this one took me, but the first section took me 3 hours. And there's a lot of sections. She's going to take me a very long time. But while I was doing this, I finished A Dark and Secret Magic, which I'm giving 3.5 stars. I just wish that it went in a little bit of a different direction at the end and it wasn't as autumnal as I wanted it to be. So I finished that up and then I ate some food. So I paused the timer. That's why we're a little bit over, because I paused the timer to eat and talk to my boyfriend a little bit before he went to sleep. After I ate, I came back to work on the diamond painting and I started the audiobook Ride or Die by Delilah S. Dawson, and I'm 46% of the way through this one. I really have liked a lot of the work I've read from Delilah S. Dawson. Bloom is one of my favorite horror books, and Guillotine I also liked, but I rated it a little bit lower because I read a graphic novel earlier in the year and it felt very similar. And so I think if I would have read that one first, I would have rated it higher, but it felt very repetitive. And I don't think that she copied them or they copied her, but it just kind of ended up happening that way. But this book is a middle grade, which I don't know if she has any middle grades, but I haven't read any. I honestly need to pick up the book that she's written called The Violence, because I heard a lot about that one too, but I've never picked it up and I don't own it. So this is a middle grade book and we are following our main character, Bree. She is a 8th grader and she just recently moved schools, and she talks about her family having a past and something that she needs to cover up, and a secret. I don't know what it is yet, but she has that going on and she really wants to fit in at her new school. So she decides that she's going to try and get in with the most popular girls in school called the M's, and she does kind of impress them a little bit enough where she gets invited to go to the head M. Her birthday party she's hosting is going to be
like the four of them, because it's the three M's. They're like a little clique, and then Bree. So they're going to go to an amusement park, and they're doing a lock-in for teenagers and middle schoolers. The middle schoolers have a curfew, the teenagers don't, so the amusement park runs all night. So Bree and the M's are going to this amusement park overnight for one of their birthdays, and she's like, okay, like, I'm going to have such a fun night. I'm going to impress them. Everything's going to be good. Everything's going to be grand. Turns out the head M, whose birthday it is a literal bitch, and she's evil, like low-key torturing her friends type vibe. Like, they're playing a game of truth or dare, and she is punishing them, like, for not doing things the way that she wants them to be done, and it's actually insane, and they're like all scared. Bree is dared to go into this abandoned part of the amusement park that used to have this alligator on display that shut down because of something in like the 90s, and so the head M sends her in there on a dare to get something to like show proof that she was back there and that it's from the 90s, and then they lock her in there and she can't get out. But then she runs into a group of teenagers who are older, and they seem nice and seem friendly and kind of take her under their wing. But Bree's starting to pick up that something might be off about this amusement park. I don't know what's going on yet. Even I'm 46% of the way in, like I said, but I don't even know what's happening. Okay, like, I don't know if it's like something demonic, a ghost, a spirit, paranormal, a real alligator. I don't know what it is. Okay, just something weird is happening in this amusement park. As I said, I'm 46% of the way through, so I'm halfway done, and I am really liking it so far. It is a middle grade, so it is a little bit juvenile in some aspects, but that's kind of the point. But overall, I'm liking it. I'm excited to dive more into the horror because we've seen inklings, but like, I want to know more about what it is and just like more of it. So I'm excited to see that. But they really made the M's bitchy, especially the head one. The Delilah really ate when she wrote them because they are horrible, and obviously that's the point. That's why she ate. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue listening to the rest of this while I work on more of the diamond painting. And then once I finish up this audiobook, I'm going to get in bed and read more of Crafting for Sinners and try to finish that one tonight. I don't know if I'll be able to because that one is probably going to take me around 2 to 2.5 more hours to finish based off how fast I read the first bit. So I don't think I'm going to be able to finish that tonight, but hopefully I can make a little bit more progress in that and then finish it up tomorrow morning.
Good morning, everybody. It's a little bit later in the morning. It's 11:23, and I haven't read yet today. We have 12 hours and 13 minutes left on the clock, so we're going to be cutting it close or going a little bit over midnight, which is fine. I normally go to sleep at like 1 or 2 anyways, but I'm just going to probably run the timer for the whole day and not really pause it unless I'm taking a really long break, which I don't plan to do. I'm starting a little bit later today because I woke up this morning at like 8:39 and I had a migraine, and I cannot read with migraine. So I popped some migraine medicine and went back to sleep, and I woke up and now it's gone. So I solved the issue, but I needed a little bit of time to do that. So that's why we're a little bit behind, but we are still going to read because I got rid of the migraine, which is perfect because I don't think I could do 12 hours of reading with migraine. I also forgot that it's the weekend, and if you don't know, my friend Lexi from Books with Lexi hosts a readathon in October just over the course of the weekends called Hollow Weekend. It runs from Thursday to Sunday every weekend in October. The last weekend goes a little bit into November as well, and each weekend you're supposed to explore a room, and I want to explore all the rooms. So I played the board last night while I was in bed, and I'll insert a picture of the room. So last week I did the red library, and so today I did the orange dining room because I left off at the spot in between them, and I wanted to try to do everything. So you don't have to do anything. You can literally do 2 die and go from the start of the room and then go to the exit that you want to do to the next room and then just do 1 prompt. But you can also collect the equipment and the ghost. You can double up. You could do whatever you want. So I was going to try to collect the equipment and the ghost with as many rolls as it takes me to do that, and you don't have to stop on them to collect them. I found out, I thought you did, but in Lexi's vlog, she just like went over it and she collected it and wanted to fulfill that prompt, but she didn't have to like actually fully land on that prompt exactly. So I started on spot 17 and I rolled a 5. So what I did was I went and I collected the equipment and went down to spot 10. So the equipment prompt is to read a book where the cover looks photographed or do something to appreciate the season. So each prompt has a book and an activity prompt. And I forgot to say there's also overall themes for each room. So this one's scary. So the books are supposed to be scary. Now I feel like the majority of the horror books I would say that I read are not scary, and the ones that I have on my TBR I wouldn't say are scary, but I don't really get scared by anything. So I just, in my head, I was like, okay, they're horror books. Horror is meant to scare you. So if they're considered horror, I'm counting them for the prompt, even if I know that they're not like a really scary horror book, because then I wouldn't really be able to fulfill any of the prompts, because I don't know what I would really classify as scary, honestly. So I just counted any horror book for scary. And for the equipment prompt, I'm doing what hunger, because this looks photographed to me. Like, it's so detailed. That definitely fits. So we have to get to this today. And then prompt 10 was read an author's latest published work or share a spooky book rec. So for that one, I'm going to do Play Nice, because that is her latest released work. So since I already read it this weekend, I'm using it to fulfill the prompt, since I forgot to do this earlier. My second roll was another 5. So I went down and I collected the ghost and then went to spot 17. So I had the ghost and 17, and the ghost is to read a book that you can spell scare on the cover or watch Halloween sprints. And so the book that I'm currently reading, Crafting for Sinners, counts for this. You can spell scare with the letters. So SCARE, scare can be spelt. Prompt 17 was read a book by a BIPOC author or do an anticipated fall activity. What hunger is by a BIPOC author. Here she is. I forget. I know that she's Asian, maybe Vietnamese, I want to say. Then I rolled a 1. So I literally only needed a 2 to get to the next door, but I rolled a 1. So I went to the next spot, which is spot 18, which is read a book with the, of, and, or in the title, or share your TBR. And so the Autumn Springs Retirement Home Massacre has the in the title, so this would count. I also wanted to get to this today because I thought maybe we could try to do these two after we finish this. And so then I did my final roll to get to the door. I don't remember what I got for the final roll, but I just went one spot over, and it says read a book that is a continuation or do an anticipated fall activity. For me, I went to Trader Joe's this weekend on Friday night, and that was an anticipated fall activity for me because I love going there in the fall and seeing all the seasonal stuff that they have. I did that in a prep vlog that I did over on my TikTok, if you guys want to watch that, but I'm counting that. So I was thinking that today we could finish Crafting for Sinners. I didn't really read any more of this last night. I just finished up Ride or Die, which I'm giving 3 stars, I think, because I did like it, but there were just some things that I was like, okay, this is so unexplained. And I know it's a middle grade, but even they like brought it up, which I guess kind of makes sense because it's a middle grade, but I'd rather they would have not. So it's very strange because some things are happening, very supernatural, horrific, weird. So she's confused, obviously, about what's going on, and the other people are literally like, we don't know why this is happening. It's just happening, and it's weird. It's never happened before, but we just don't know. And so like it's completely unexplained. We have no idea. Just this big, weird, supernatural thing happened, and we have no explanation for it. And like that's fine if you don't want to explain it because it is a horror book, but then I don't think that you should bring up the fact that you're not explaining it, you know? So I didn't really love that, but I did like the amusement park vibes and the big like villain in this book, because it is a middle grade, so there's probably going to be like a big villain. I didn't really like them or their motivation. It didn't really make sense to me. So I liked the vibes, but like the explanation for everything and why everything was happening, I didn't like, because either it didn't make sense, or 2, it was never explained. So 3 stars for that one. So I'm really excited to continue this book because I was flying through it yesterday. And then after that, I'm hoping to get through both of these books. I'm definitely gonna have to get at least one of them on audio, because I know there's some place where I'm going to need to have an audiobook, like when I walk my dog later. I'm getting groceries delivered from Walmart, so I'm going to have to put those up. I'm cooking dinner tonight, and I organized the clothes and closet stuff yesterday, including my boyfriend's as well, but he had a whole bunch of clothes that needed to be washed, and I also need to wash my clothes. So I washed his clothes yesterday. I still need to wash my clothes, and then once I wash all of them, I'm going to put those away too. So for that stuff, I'm going to need an audiobook, but first I really want to sit down and try to blast through the rest of this book for the next couple hours, and then that'll be probably around the time that my groceries are going to be delivered and I can pick up an audiobook of something else. I feel like today's a pajama day. I got this nice pajama set. I never really have pajama sets. I have one that's like a Skims one that I like, but it's not like this type of material, spandex, and it's like cute and I love it, but I wanted like another set and I feel like it's so cute, so I think I'm going to stay in my pajamas today because it's Sunday. It's a lazy day. We're reading, we're chilling, and yeah. It's also very, very rainy today. It's like raining the entire day today. I definitely would go for a walk. I wanted to actually go for one yesterday too, but I didn't really have enough time with trying to tackle the clothes and going to the silent book club, because by the time I got out silent book club, it was completely dark. So I would have gone for one today, but it's extremely rainy. It's not raining right now, but it's like raining off and on all day. So I wouldn't risk going for a walk outside, because what happens if I get stuck and then I have to walk like 10-15 minutes back in the rain? No, I would hate that. During the day, I don't normally read in my bed, but I'm low-key comfy right now. So I think I'm just gonna stay here and read this book. It's been a minute since I updated y'all, because at 1 o'clock, I actually was starting reading sprints. It was actually scheduled for 12, but I thought it was 1. So we started at 1. And so I've taken like food breaks and stuff like that since. So we have done probably like 4.5 hours of reading since I last updated y'all. And we had to pivot a little bit because I decided I wanted to make a coffee, and then I picked this up, and then the food that I ordered got delivered. So then I went and I had my food break, and then I sat back down to read this, and then it was time to start reading sprints. So then I started sprints, and then I started reading this again, and then my groceries got delivered. So then I switched to the audiobook of this book to put away my groceries as well as clean out the fridge, because I always do that whenever I put away groceries. And then because I cleaned out the fridge, I had to take out the trash because I didn't want it to stink. And then once all of that was done, my laundry was done. So then I put away my boyfriend and I's laundry, which took forever. So I'm actually 66% of the way into this book already. Also, I got this Amazon order of this new crew neck, and I love it. Okay, I'm obsessed. But I am really, really liking this book so far. It is really good. I am enjoying it. It's kind of like if Only Murders in the Building was more of like a horror book. But this does actually describe itself in the synopsis as a blood-soaked slasher. And I don't know if I would say that. It's kind of like a slasher, but like cozy mystery or Only Murders in the Building style. It's like one by one, but a horror book. In this book, we're following Rose, and she is in her late 70s, and she obviously lives at this retirement home called Autumn Springs. And one day, one of her fellow residents dies in their apartment, and everybody's thinking like, oh, this was just an accident, like she slipped when she was getting in the tub. And she lives at a retirement home, so people die. Accidents happen, but then also they're older, so people do die occasionally, probably more than occasionally, more than most other places that people live. a lot of people die at the retirement home, okay? And so she doesn't really think anything of it. None of her other friends think anything of it. They're all just like, dang, that was really tragic. But then more people start dying one by one in suspicious circumstances, more accidents, people like jumping out of windows, committing suicide, some people getting burned. And so now they're starting to like actually look into it and investigate and try and figure out, especially Rose with her friend Miller, who she may or may not have some feelings for. They start to investigate and try and figure out what is happening with these murders. And it is very interesting, honestly. It's divided into sections. I've been talking about this because in the audiobook it'll say like one, but each section, there's like 12 sections I think in this book. Each section starts over with the numbering, so I have to find where I am because I don't remember each section necessarily. But it's so interesting to see how people are dying. It is told in third person, so we are following Rose, but then we do kind of like get the perspective of the death and what's happening with all of the different deaths. We just obviously don't know who it is, but we kind of get it from the perspective of that person, obviously in third person, but their perspective, if that makes sense. And I really like the writing. It's very funny, very humorous. And I always normally love books that have elderly characters as the main character. Like I'm thinking Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers, a cozy mystery. Even The Thursday Murder Club, a cozy mystery. Then I'm also thinking We Spread by Ian Reid, a horror book. Then I'm even thinking the show The Only Murders in the Building. I love that show. The only one that I would say was the book I read recently. I read Too Old by Samantha Downing, and I did still like that book, but the main character honestly felt like a Karen, and that was the first time that I read a book with an older main character, and I was like, I feel like she would hate crime me and say slurs at me and yell at kids to get off her lawn, you know? And I really like seeing kind of just like the elderly life and the things that you have to think about. That's something I did like in Too Old, is the main character in that one, she's not in a retirement home, but she's thinking about moving to one and thinking about how she's going to finance it for that long. And that's something that I never thought of. And in this book, she's saying things that I would have never have thought of, or I'm seeing things that I would have never have thought of. Like all these deaths are going on. So some of the other people who live there are calling their relatives, even their like own children, being like, hey, I need a place to stay. Like, can you please help me? And their own kids abandon them. Like literally one of them was like, Mom, you cannot come stay with us. I'll send you $1,000. And then literally never sent her $1,000 and hung up on her. Like I never really thought about that before, but that's so horrible to not have any support and like your own children that you raised not even supporting you. So it's just bringing up some things that like I would have never thought of before that I find really interesting. I think being an older individual is interesting, especially I'm excited in my multicultural lifespan development class I'm taking this semester. And we're going to be learning about older adulthood as well as death. And I'm really excited for that section of the class because I think it's going to be interesting because I've lived through most life stages now developmentally wise, except middle adulthood and late adulthood. So those are the only two that I'm like, I wonder what that's going to be like. You know, I've already been infant, a toddler, a child, a preteen, and a teenager, and now I'm a young adult. So it's just interesting. And I still am liking Crafting for Sinners. I haven't obviously made much progress, so I don't have many other thoughts on this. But now that I put away my laundry, I'm going to dive back into the physical read of this. I've never tried to read a physical book on my walking pad before, but I think I'm going to try because I could try to get this on my Kobo. I haven't even looked to see if my library has the ebook, but I'm really enjoying reading this physically right now. So I want to see if it's possible because I really need to walk on the walking pad. I don't know how many steps I've gotten yet today. Let's see. I'm about half my steps for today. I've done 2 miles, 5,000 steps, which is actually pretty good considering I haven't gone anywhere really besides to take the trash out and take my dog. And he looks so cute right now. I tried to put him in the camera, but y'all can't fully see him. But yeah, I'm really excited to dive back into this book. And it's crazy that we still have like almost 8 hours left. So like I'm like, okay, I'm definitely gonna finish these. What Hunger is pretty short. It's less than 300 pages. So I might be able to pick up something else after. We'll see. We are 19 hours in now. Yay! I am warming up my boyfriend and I's food. I already made it. It's buffalo sliders. I don't know if y'all can see it. Hold on. Let's see. They're the sliders. And I warmed them up. Or I'm warming them up because I went to walk my dog because it's literally horrible outside, but it's like misting instead of pouring. So I was like, okay, I'll take them now. So that's why I'm warming it up because it cooled off a little bit. But while I was cooking this and doing dishes and taking my dog out, I finished the Autumn Springs Retirement Home Massacre, and I'm giving this book 4 stars. I really, really, really liked it. Considering a 4.5, honestly, I don't think it's a 5 star. It's not giving me that 5 star feeling. Hold on, I apologize. It's not giving me that 5 star feeling, but I really liked it. It's kind of like if you want like a Vera Wong Thursday Murder Club kind of vibe, where there's like an older person that's investigating a murder or a series of murders, and it still has funniness and humor, but it just goes a little bit darker, and the way that things are described is just a little bit more graphic, I would say. It's just very reminiscent of all those kind of humorous cozy mysteries, but just make it a little bit more horror. I wouldn't say it's very scary though or anything like that. I think readers who don't typically read horror can still read this book too. I don't think that the horror was too crazy, but this one was so fun. Like, I really just had like that humor. I always love those types of books. As I said earlier, they're just something that I really enjoy. And so it had like that humor, the murder mystery element of it, that graphicness from the horror descriptions. I liked the main character. I liked the things that it was talking about, specifically related to age, because I don't think that's something that we talk enough about in our society. And it was overall just a good read. The only thing I would say is that I do think it was a little long. At no point when I was reading this book was I like, oh, I don't want to read it, I don't want to listen to it, or this book is dragging, like I'm not interested. I was always interested in it, but it did start to get a little bit repetitive. So I feel like even though I was having a good time, I do think that this book could be cut down and a little bit shorter, just to keep the pacing and the momentum of the story a little bit. Now, as I said, I was having a good time regardless, but I think for it being like a story overall, like a book, I think that just cutting a little bit would help the pacing, especially for readers who might be more affected by that in this book than I am. Because I always say that if I have something happening that I'm interested in or really good characters, it can be really repetitive and boring, especially depending on the author's writing style. It could be repetitive, it could be boring, it could literally be like describing characters talking while they're eating dinner, and I'm still going to have a good time and I'm gonna like it because I'm interested in the conversation, I'm interested in the character works, anything like that. But sometimes it does bother me when things are slow and repetitive if I don't like what's happening. So as I said, I had a good time, but I don't know if every reader would. And so for the sake of it being a book, you might want to cut it down a little bit. But I am going to eat this dinner. I'm going to pause the timer while I eat because I want to read as much as possible. I have a little over 4.5 hours left, so I'm going to finish off reading Crafting for Sinners. I have about 100 pages of that left, so I also read more in there, and I'm still really liking that one too. I think that one's also going to be a 4 or 4.5. I'm leaning more towards 4.5 for that one, so we'll see. It's so just good. I really am eating it up. I'm having such a good time with it, honestly. And then hopefully after that, I'm going to pick up What Hunger, which I don't think will take me that long. So I think I'll definitely finish it before the timer, but we'll see how much I will actually be able to read. Because I'm stopping the timer to eat, I'm probably not going to finish this till 2:30 because I stopped for 2 meal breaks. So that's like an hour alone. And then when my boyfriend came home, I stopped it for like half an hour, 45 minutes to talk to him, and me just stopping it throughout the day, I had a long chat on my reading sprint, so I stopped it, and just like little things like that added up to 2.5 hours extra of time that we pushed back because we were going to be exactly at midnight, and now we're at 2.5 hours over that. But I think I'm going to stay up and actually do it. I normally stay up that late anyways. I don't ever want to, but I always do anyways. So I'm like, yeah, I mean, fuck it, we ball. Anyways, I'm gonna eat because I'm starving. Y'all can probably tell by my appearance and the time of day that is actually the next day, because last night after I updated y'all, I think I was in my kitchen. I don't remember if I was about to eat or if I just ate, but I ended up eating, and then I went to lay down to continue in Crafting for Sinners, which I have right here, and I did continue a little bit into this, but then I fell asleep. I literally fell asleep. Yeah, I did. I wasn't even tired. I don't know what happened, but I fell asleep, and that's what happened. So I fell asleep, but I'm determined to still finish this 24-hour readathon. So we have 4.5 hours still left on the clock. We're about 19.5 hours in, and we're still finishing this readathon today. It was honestly a task to figure out where I actually even was in the timer, because as I said, I fell asleep, so the timer was running, so it ran out while I was sleeping, and then it went off and it
woke me up and it scared me, and then I went back to sleep. But I'm filming a TikTok vlog at the same time as this for the readathon, and I'm giving updates every hour, but they are way more general. But I was able to use that to decipher how much time I had left. Able to listen a little bit on and off to What Hunger by Catherine Dang. I'm not too far into this one yet, so I want to get a little bit further before I tell y'all my thoughts. I don't even know what percent. I've been listening to this on audio, so I don't even know what percent I am into it, because I don't think it says the percent, and I don't feel like calculating it right now. Yeah, it doesn't say the percent, so I don't know the percent, but I'm a little bit into it, and I'm enjoying that, and I'm really enjoying this too. My boyfriend's gonna go hang out with his fraternity brothers because it is like the homecoming for schools nearby, so he's gonna go hang out with them. So I have the whole rest of the night free. So my plan is now that I'm going to go for a walk, because I was supposed to go to the gym earlier today and I didn't, because last night, as I said, I fell asleep early and I didn't set any alarms or anything, so I woke up with not enough time to go to the gym. You would think if I fell asleep early I would wake up early. Didn't happen. So I'm gonna go to walk at least, because I really want to walk outside. It's so good for my mental health. I love being in nature, and I'm gonna continue listening to the audiobook of What Hunger while I walk, because I normally walk for like 45 minutes to an hour, so I'm gonna get a decent bit into that one because it's a really short book. And then I'm debating afterwards, I might go to the gym and do a strength workout, because I'm trying to do like 3-4 days a week, so I might try to go, but it's already like 6, and I hate going to the gym after the morning time. Like, I like to do it first and then get ready for my day. It feels weird to do it reverse for me. And so I'm gonna go for a walk, and I will update y'all if I make a lot of progress into What Hunger. I don't know how this happened, but it is 9:30. So when I last talked to y'all, I think it was around 6. And somehow in 3.5 hours, I've only read an hour. It was basically for that hour that I was walking, I was listening to the audiobook of What Hunger. And then once I went to the gym, I just could not do the workout today without like music. Some days it's like that where I just like feel like I need more motivation, but I did make really good progress in What Hunger. I think I'm like 70-ish% of the way in on the audiobook app. As I said, it doesn't tell you what percent you are in, but I think I calculated that I'm 70% of the way in. So I'm pretty far into the book, and I'm liking this one so far, but I'm not loving it, because this book is described as like Jennifer's body. One of my friends literally said like Jennifer's body if Jennifer was needy, and that makes sense. One of my friends also said Jennifer's body meets Little Fires Everywhere, which I haven't read the book, but I've seen some of the show. All of that stuff really makes sense, but this is a little bit more of a coming of age story than I thought it was going to be. I don't mind it. I just went in with different expectations, because a lot of these types of books I feel like have been done. People are also comparing this to The Eyes of the Best Part, because we are following a young Vietnamese girl, and at the beginning of this book, she is about to go into high school. She's in 8th grade, and she's kind of like in that in between where she's too old for like kids' toys and stuff, but then she's too young to like go to parties and start driving and like being a teenager. And she looks up to her brother, but her brother is seen as like the really good child by her parents, and she honestly doesn't like that, because she feels like her parents treat her like she's the bad kid, and he is like put on a pedestal. He's older than her, he's in high school, so he is on the track to go to college, but she's also scared because she doesn't want him to leave her. She doesn't want him to go to college. She wants her brother there with her, but then a tragedy strikes that causes a loss in the family, and then something also happens to her when she goes to high school a couple months after this book starts. Something happens to her with a boy, which we could probably assume what a boy would do that would traumatize a girl. And ever since then, she starts to get a hunger for meat. All meat, raw meat and human meat, okay? Just general meat, and for a variety of meats, okay? So just like regular raw meat, which is already strange, but then also human meat. She kind of wants to eat people. And this is more of a coming of age story, because not much horrifying has happened. I've read a lot of these types of books. I would say this would be in the class with Chlorine, The Eyes Are the Best Part, even A Certain Hunger a little bit. That one's a little bit less of a coming of age story, but I've read quite a few books that are similar to this, and this one I would say is the most like literary fiction coming of age story out of all of them. And I don't hate it. I just want a little bit more horror. Like I want a little bit more to happen, because in those books they are a little bit slow and character driven, but what really is so striking about them is not just like the commentary, but the commentary is just so well defined by the horrific acts and the horror that's described in the story. And I feel like it just makes everything so intentional, and it's like a giant exclamation point, if that makes sense. And this one doesn't really have that, which is fine. I really like the themes that it's exploring. It explores a lot about immigrants and grief and generational trauma, how your family impacts you culturally, what they instill in you, how they treat you, and all those different things, which I'm really liking. I like the commentary a lot, and I like our main character, but I hope that a little bit more happens. But I heard the end is really, really good. I think I'm going to finish this one off first, because I just was last reading this and I only have a little bit left. And then I'm hoping to dive back into Crafting for Sinners and finish this one off finally, because I'm really loving this one. My boyfriend is actually unlocking the door right now. So he's here, and so he'll probably be distracting me, but I'm still hoping to finish tonight. Hi. So I'm going to go read. Bye. Please don't judge me, guys. I'm literally fully in my pajamas because I was in bed and I didn't want to get up, but I got up so I can update y'all, because I'm just that kind, because I know everybody wants my updates. So we are at, let me do math. We are at 23 hours, 10 minutes in. We have 50 minutes left in the readathon, and I just finished up Crafting for Sinners. I really, really liked this. I think that this is like a fun cult book. Like, it still has commentary in it, but it's very humorous. It's a little bit lighter horror, and it's a cult book. I feel like I haven't read that many cult books. I know people either really love them or hate them. I don't really have an opinion because I haven't read that many, but I love Black Sheep by Rachel Harrison, and I think if you like that book, you could also like this one. They are very, very different, but they are more like ridiculous cult stories instead of something serious. Like, it turns ridiculous, but it does have really important themes of religion and sexuality, and how those two things combine specifically in this book is what it talks about. Black Sheep is more like family dynamics, but I really, really liked this. It was so fun. I loved all the crafting talk, and just being stuck in a craft store. It was so unique. But then we did get to different areas as we went further into the story, and I just really liked the way that things progressed. So now that we have 50 minutes left, I did stop the timer while I'm talking to y'all, just so we can maximize the rest of the time that we have left. I was going to pick up Feed Them Silence by Lee Mandello, because I thought that I could finish this pretty fast. I thought at the end I was going to have like an hour and a half, and I thought that this would be possible in that time, but now I don't think I could finish this in 50 minutes, honestly. I don't even know how many pages it is. It just looks really small. It is just under 100 pages, but I feel like the fastest that I can read is like 100 pages in an hour, and we have less than an hour. So I don't think that I'd be able to finish this, and I would hate to like finish with just a few pages left. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pivot instead, and I'm just going to start a book that I want to read. Okay, I've just been eyeing this book the entire readathon, because I bought it on Friday, the day before the readathon. As I was prepping, I bought this at the bookstore, and I have been eyeing it down the whole readathon, but I've been sticking to the horror vibes the whole time, so I'm proud of myself for that. Except I did finish A Dark and Secret Magic, but I was just finishing that up. I didn't start any non-horror books yet so far in this readathon, so I'm giving myself permission for the last 50 minutes, since it's late at night and I'm ready to go to bed. I'm starting You Again, which is a romance, and this book, originally when I saw it, I was never interested in it, and I remember one or two people actually talked about it more, and I was like, wait, that actually sounds interesting, and then I forgot what it was. And then I was like, I'm not really interested in it again. And then I saw it at the bookstore, and then I was like, okay, let me like low-key read the synopsis. And then it sounded really good. It says that there are two people that meet and they hate each other instantly. The woman is a struggling comedian who's free-spirited. She likes to keep things casual and never sleeps over after hooking up. But then Josh, he's a born and bred New Yorker, so this takes place in New York in the fall, like yeah, I'm ready. Okay, he has ambitious plans to take the culinary world by storm and find the one, okay? And they have absolutely nothing in common except that they happen to be sleeping with the same woman. Gagged. Okay, Ari and Josh never expected their paths to cross again, but years later, as they're both reeling from ego-bruising breakups, a chance encounter leads to a surprising connection, friendship. Turns out, spending time with your former nemesis is fun when you're too sad to hate each other and too sad to hate sex. As friends without benefits, they find comfort in late-night Netflix binges, swiping through each other's online dating profiles, and bickering across boroughs, until one night, the unspoken boundaries of their platonic friendship begin to blur. With sharp observations and sizzling chemistry, You Again explores the dynamics of co-ed friendship in this irresistible romantic comedy of modern love in all its forms. Yeah. Literally, when I read that in the store, you know that song that's like, "You're coming home with me."
You're coming home with me.
That's how I was. So I'm going to dive into this. Yes, I'm really excited. You guys are getting a lot of me right now because I feel like sometimes, honestly, it's not that it's hard to open up on camera or not be myself, but I feel like I already talk a lot, so I'm trying to tell y'all the information, the point of the video. And so I'm just kind of like not going through the motions, but like telling y'all the information. So sometimes I feel like I'm not as like playful as I am in my regular life, but then sometimes y'all catch me on a night like this where I'm a little drowsy and things start to get a little fun. Okay, but You Again is about to happen and I'm so excited. I think I'm gonna join y'all back again when the timer goes off, but we're gonna do our final wrap up and update tomorrow morning or maybe even the afternoon. I don't know what's happening, but tomorrow we're gonna do our final update tomorrow because it's late and I can't be bothered. It's the final countdown. We're almost there. 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year. Okay, hold on. No, my boyfriend's asleep. Okay, but 24 hours is up. I didn't read that much of You Again because honestly, I'm so tired. Like, I could not focus. I was falling asleep. And honestly, the last 10 minutes, I kind of just was on my phone. But I did get to like 45 pages in, and I'm really liking it so far. We'll talk more about it in the morning because I gotta go to sleep. Good night.
It's actually been quite a while since I finished this 24-hour readathon, and I thought that I did like a wrap up for it, but I did not. So I kind of just wanted to wrap up everything that I read during this 24-hour readathon. I ended up reading from 8 books total during the readathon. Here are the physical ones that I read from. I read 6 books fully, start to finish, during the 24-hour readathon. These are the 4 that I read physically, as well as Spread Me by Sarah Gailey and Ride or Die by Delilah S. Dawson. But I did finish 7 books because I also finished up A Dark and Secret Magic. I read the last 13% of that, but I did read from 8 books because I also started You Again, which I read 45 pages of this during the readathon. So if you guys were curious, that equals a total of 18,063 pages that I read over the course of 24 hours, which was also done over 3 days, and this averages about 77.6 pages an hour, if you guys are curious. And of course, I did utilize a lot of audiobooks during this as well to supplement or immersive read, and I had such a good time with this reading vlog. It was so fun. I think that I need to talk a little bit more about these 2 books. So Crafting for Sinners, I don't think I updated y'all because I finished this quite late at night. I know this plant is here, but I try to find different angles for y'all. But Crafting for Sinners, I really like this one. I'm giving it, I think, 5 stars. I really liked it because I liked the commentary. I liked how fun and camp it is as well. Like, it's literally in a craft store, but it talks about homophobia and religious communities, and that commentary is so real, but it makes it a fun, campy horror. But we're following like a witchy, like satanic cult, which I'm sure exists, but most religious communities are not as extreme as this one is. It's fun, it's camp, it's like the cult and black sheep. It's very interesting, but it still was able to hammer home that commentary, and it was just such a fun, interesting read. I really liked the way that this was laid out, and I honestly cannot recommend this book enough. I think it definitely deserves to be on my 5 stars of the year, up there with my other 5 stars, because it was honestly so good and I flew through it. I also really enjoyed our main character. I feel like this is just everything I like. Like, it's fun, it's camp, it's kind of like a slasher in a way. It also has like commentary on a topic that I care about, and it also has like a weird quirky element in it that I relate to, which is like crafting and crochet. So I feel like this was just like a perfect storm of something that I'm gonna love in a book. Now, do I think everybody's gonna give this one a 5 star? No, but I absolutely loved and adored it. And I think if you like similar horror to me, especially ones that are like fun or campy or have commentary in them, I'm even thinking like Grady Hendrix. I feel like he he does a lot of like fun campy books that also have like commentary in it. I haven't loved all of his books, but something like that, or like Rachel Harrison again. I feel like some of her books can be more fun and campy and then also have a commentary element in them. So I think if you like that type of horror, you would also really like this. And then You Again, I've actually read a little bit since I finished this up. I'm 84 pages in now, and I'm just really liking this as well. But basically, we're just following two characters, and they actually meet because the guy, he thinks that he is dating this girl, and he's coming over to cook for her, but she's running late. So the roommate lets him in. That's our female main character. And she's actually have slept with this girl, and she knows that this girl like sleeps around and does not consider this guy her boyfriend, and kind of like humbles him about that. And they just start to like grind against each other, and you can tell that there's like a lot of like animosity and just tension. Like, you know, when you just like immediately like are just like don't have energy that works well with somebody else, that's how they are. And they really don't speak again for years, and then they meet again and it's another bad meeting, and then they meet again and it's another bad meeting, and then I think they're gonna meet again and it's another bad meeting, but then you slowly see them start to meet more and more until they start to like bond. And I think they turn into like friends with benefits, which I haven't gotten that far, but I kind of like seeing how their personalities collide. I think it's very interesting. And he's a chef, which I really like, but she is kind of like the type of female character that I don't really enjoy as much. She's kind of more like laid back, chill, but I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like I've had friends like this too, where it's just like, I feel like you're too like, I don't give a fuck, you know, it's like almost performative. And I feel like that's how she is, you know, and I don't know if I'm going to love her, but I like the overall dynamics. I don't know if I could ever see them being in a relationship. So I'm interested to see if the author is going to be able to convince me. But that is my 24-hour readathon experience. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I had such a fun time. I know I wanted to do it over the course of 2 days and it ended up being 3 days, but honestly, I'm completely fine with it. I think I still had a really great, successful 24-hour readathon. I'm excited that I was able to get to some more of my like Halloween-y books and just like anticipated horror for this season. It was so nice to be able to do that. And even though I haven't had much time since completing this, I do think it really did pull me out of my reading slump, which makes me really, really happy. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it to the end of this video, leave the clock emoji down below, and I will see you on the next one. Bye, everybody.